Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. We are doing another What If video. This is where we take a look at many of the different story routes that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime went in, and we ask the question, what if something else happened? And in today's video, we are going to be looking at the wonderfully done final duel between Yugi and Yami Yugi in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters anime, and we are going to be asking the question, what if Atem defeated Yugi in the final duel of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters? This was a heavily requested one, and it's one that was a lot of fun to tackle, but I will admit, this was a difficult one to tackle because it's changing a really great conclusion to a great storyline. So I tried to add only a little bit in, and hopefully you guys will enjoy what I've come up with. Here is what if Atem defeated Yugi at the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! This was a duel that was supposed to send Atem back into Egypt and into the afterlife. But in this story route, Yugimoto has failed to defeat Atem in a duel. Thus, Atem is currently stuck in the living world, which is not good. And it's especially not good because of what will happen if Atem is stuck here. Due to the duel not succeeding in bringing Atem back into the past, the temple that they're in starts to rumble, and something is clearly very wrong. Deep beneath the Millennium Stone tablet, which had all the Millennium items embellished into it, a seal that was holding Zork, the Dark One, captive, breaks and releases him into the present world. I feel like this is something that they could have went down had they gone in the direction of Yami Yugi not being defeated in this moment. Zork was never actually present in the real world, and it would be something similar to what happened with like Zark in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, where he was eventually resurrected in current day and was a new threat that our team would have to deal with. Zork is obviously the big main villain, Yami Bakura, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, and Zork was one of those characters that was actually defeated through like a physical battle, if you will. We never actually saw Zork duel, and while I think the thought of Zork dueling might be goofy at first, I also think that if you look at these extremely powerful entities, whether it's Darkness, whether it's Zone, whether it's Supreme King Zark, dueling has always gone hand in hand with them, and I don't think that Zork dueling is really that ridiculous. And so, because Yugi was unable to send Atem back into the past, the seal breaks and Zork is unleashed into the realm of the living, the current day. And Zork immediately goes on a rampage. All he wants is death and destruction. Joey and Seto Kaiba are the first duelists that try to stop Zork and challenge him to a duel. Zork laughs at this challenge and decides to duel each of them. And no disrespect to Kaiba or Joey here, but I actually would like this to go kind of a similar route to how it went when Siegfried dueled Weevil and Rex. I wouldn't like to see this duel in full, and I know that might be kind of surprising given that Kaiba and Joey are both well-respected and good duelists, but I think showing little bits and pieces of it while Yami and Yugi are trying to figure out just what to do and what can be done in order to stop Zork would make the eventual duel that we're getting to that much more enjoyable and intense to watch. When Siegfried beat Weevil and Rex the way he did, without explaining the effects of his Valkyries, I felt that that enhanced him as a threatening duelist, and by the time we actually saw him duel Joey, it felt like Joey was really up against it because Siegfried was going to have this really ridiculously powerful deck. And so Zork ends up defeating Kaiba and Joey in a duel where we don't really see what his monsters do, but we know that his monsters are very, very powerful. And finally, Yami Yugi reaches Zork and is able to challenge him to a duel with, of course, the fate of the world on the line. But Yami Yugi will not face Zork alone. Yugimoto also steps up to the plate, still separated from Yami Yugi, due to the chaos that ensued after the duel between the two of them happened, and Yugimoto volunteers to duel alongside Yami. And I think this is probably the coolest element of this what-if scenario. We never got to see Yugi and Atem team up. It was one of those things that was really impossible to see because they shared one body, but them being separated right before the ceremonial duel and the separation lasting beyond the ceremonial duel in this scenario allows us to see a type of duel that is otherwise impossible. Yugi and Yami Yugi versus Zork, which I think would be such a fun matchup. While this duel is going on, there is a portal/void that is starting to envelop the entire Earth. This is, of course, the dark energy that Zork has and the ability to just suck the entire Earth into basically a dark hole and nothingness. And that is, of course, the goal of Zork, to destroy everything. And this portal is growing and cities are starting to be destroyed while this duel is going on. Yami Yugi and Yugi eventually are able to overcome Zork in a really, really cool way. Maybe they would use a card like Eternal Bond, United Pharaoh and King. I don't know, something like that. I just kind of thought of that. But a new card that would allow them to combine the powers of their decks in order to summon a brand new ace monster that is able to overcome Zork's strategy and defeat him once and for all. And then, of course, after Zork is defeated, then you would have your duel between Yugi and Atem once again, in which Yugi, thanks to defeating Zork and dueling alongside the Pharaoh to prove to himself that he is as strong as the Pharaoh is and has finally achieved the full amount of his potential, little Yugimoto is finally able to overcome Atem in a really good back and forth duel and is able to send Atem into the afterlife. And with the world saved, Yugi steps forward as the new king of games, carrying on the Pharaoh's legacy with him. And in his room, he looks at the photo of his friends and smiles, holding his deck, and says to himself, "Thank you, Pharaoh. I'll make sure your legacy lives on, always." I think this what-if scenario can work for a couple of different reasons. Number one, you're not changing too much in the story. We're not going crazy deep. We're not adding another 20, 30 episodes. You're just adding maybe another 4 or 5 episodes to have the Zork stuff happen. And Zork was, of course, already an established villain in the Millennium World arc, so it's not like it's a random villain that's being added. I also think that this very clearly would be the anime ending to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. This in no way affects Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side of Dimensions, because Dark Side of Dimensions is a manga only sequel. So the manga ending and the Dark Side of Dimensions route is one way to end the story. Meanwhile, the anime gets an expanded story beyond that initial ceremonial duel in this what if. And then, of course, seeing Yugimoto, seeing Yami Yugi team up together. Sure, they always teamed up and worked together within one vessel, but seeing them team up in their own separate bodies, and that would allow Yugimoto to finally gain the strength and courage and confirmation in his own mind that he needed in order to overcome Atem at the end of the show, I think would have worked really, really well. And of course, you give Zork one last focal point. And to see Zork duel, which of course is something we never got to see, I think would actually be really, really enjoyable. I know it just seems ridiculous to imagine, but this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Where the fate of the world is decided by a card game, and so I don't think anything is off the table. But guys, let me know your thoughts on this what if. Obviously, the original ending for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters is really, really well done. I wanted to still keep Yugimoto being the one to send Atem back into the afterlife, and just add a little bit more to what would happen to the story if Yami Yugi actually defeated him in the ceremonial duel. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. If there's a different route you would have taken, please let me know down below in the comments as well. I think these what ifs are fun because there's infinite possibilities. It's just whatever your mind can come up with and whatever you think would be kind of enjoyable to watch. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.